alright. I am blue. You are bright and shiny in my mind. You got me loving, hating, crazy indecision in my mind.
Welcome to the Fall Podcast, where the focus is on deer hunting, tips, tricks, tactics, and stories from across the Midwest. And now, here is your host, Aaron Blasey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Fall Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Blasey, and this is episode number 80. And on today's episode, I am wrapping up the three-part series with Chuck Weldon, and we're going to be talking about scent control and a lot about wind and wind thermals. So this one's a really cool one. There's a lot more to go into it other than scent control and wind, but that's kind of the main topics that we hit for this episode. So I hope you guys enjoy it. If you're listening to this right now, Casey and I are on our way to Kansas to kick off the season. The season starts on the 16th of September, and we're pretty excited. It's going to be really warm, but we're going down to the Kansas lease, and we got to do some work on it. We actually picked up a new lease this year, so we might get in the stand and go after Shakes or Bob Marley, so we'll see. But I'm going to keep you guys updated on that as well as we go along. But as for today, we're going to wrap up the three-part series with Chuck, like I said, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet, but don't forget, go to kieferbros.com, click on the links, and use the exclusive promo codes. For any of the partners, any of the products that we use, there's probably a code out there, so go to the Kiefer Bros website, use those codes, and hopefully you guys enjoy the products just as much as we do. So with that being said, I'm going to jump on here with Chuck, and we're going to wrap up this three-part series. So thanks for listening, and hope you guys enjoy this. One of the big things out there, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, is scent control. And I know you've got a pretty intensive scent control regimen and a way you do things. You know, so I want to ask you about your scent control regimen and how you go about it. And basically what I'm looking for is, like, you know, your technique, kind of. You know, do you spray down? Do you use activated carbon? Do you use knee-high boots? Do you use leather boots that you lace up? Like, what is it, and what's your take on scent control in general?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a firm believer in scent control. I will say this: I don't care if you're in a bubble. You still got to play the wind. Absolutely have to play the wind. There's nothing on the market that will 100% completely save your butt from the wind. And second of all, if I'm being completely honest, from September 15th through about mid-November, I am a stickler when it comes to, scent control. By the end of November, I'm burnt out and my give a damn starts to bust a little bit. But I wear activated carbon, scent lock. I'm a firm believer in scent lock, and Wildlife Research Center products is what we use at Whitetail Fix, and I'm a firm believer in that. So I probably, the first half of the season, my clothes spend as much time in the washing machine and the dryer as they do on my back. But I'm a big advocate of storing, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go spend a ton of money on ozone bags and things like that. I'm not going to say that those don't work. I've had success with ozone products, and I do believe in them. But you don't have to go. You don't have to go spend a bunch of money on that. But I'm a firm believer of having a sterile or scent-free tote, whether it's a plastic tote that you buy at Walmart and you spray it down, leave it sit outside, get that smell off of it. Getting dressed at the truck. And
don't use a garbage bag.
Yeah, don't use,
because they've got Febreze in them now, and they've got all these different kind of scents.
Exactly. But like I said, and I'm just being honest. When I'm talking to you as Hunter Chuck and not somebody representing a company. The first half of the season, I'm a stickler about it. I wear a pair of Crocs and shorts and a T-shirt to the stand or to the truck, or to the field. I get out of the truck, grab my stuff out of my tote. I get dressed right there on the tailgate. I walk in. By the end of the season, if I'm having a grind like I have here lately, or when it gets cold, I'm a cold natured fella. So when it gets cold, and if I'm going on a morning hunt, I'm not walking out in my skivvies. I'm walking. I may not put everything on. I'm not going to lie, but I'm a firm believer in scent control, and and every hunter that is a firm believer in scent control has had the argument at some point in time that somebody has said, "Well, by God, I sit down against a tree and I sit there and I smoke my cigarettes and I kill a big deer every year." Well, are you a gun hunter? Or are you a bow hunter?
Is your big deer the same as my big deer?
Exactly. I mean, hell, anybody can do that. I mean, if you're hunting the south wind and the deer are going to come from the south, and you can set up in the tree and fry damn bacon if you want to. It's not going to matter, because but there's a lot of places that I hunt, and I've gotten extremely ballsy. When I hunted splits, I got extremely ballsy with the wind, and sometimes it bit me, sometimes it didn't, but I had enough faith in my scent control system, not only from the shower. I mean, obviously, you don't want to go to the local beer joint, where they're grilling hamburgers, they're frying fries, and Edith is sitting down there, playing Keno, smoking Marlboros, and go from there straight to the stand. For me, it starts in the shower. I shower before every hunt, use my body wash, and then my clothes, regardless if I get dressed in the house or not, my clothes are in some kind of scent proof bag, and I pull them out of the bag. I spray them down. If I'm getting dressed at the house, I spray them down there. Spray down again in the field. I spray down again in the tree, and I've gotten extremely ballsy with wind direction and thermals, and sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. My boots vary. Early season, I'm a big fan of just a lace up boot. Then of course when we get into winter, I'm more so the knee high boot. But I will say that when I wear a knee high boot, I put my pants on the outside of the boot to try to keep. That's one thing. I've got the sweatiest feet of any person I've ever met. So that's one thing that I do. That's one thing I do is make sure that I put my pants on the outside of my boots, especially wearing carbon activated clothing. Try to get that use that as another. My boots are not they're not a carbon or scent proof boot, so I try to use that to my advantage as well. But and I don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of it, but face covers, gloves, everything I can do, and I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and promote the products that we use on our television show. If there's a product out there that you believe in, whatever brand of clothing it may be, whatever spray it may be, whether it's a Ozonics, whether it's a Scent Crusher, whatever it may be, if you think it works for you and it gives you an advantage, then by all means use it. I personally think we use the best stuff in the industry, and I use it to every advantage that I've got. But at the same time, let's I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, and
I know you won't.
you've got to play the wind. I don't care what you're using. You have to play the wind. Will this brand of clothing and this brand of spray maybe give you that extra advantage to get the shot pulled off? Absolutely, it will. But you still have to play the wind, and thermals are my favorite thing. That's one thing that is one thing I love hunting early season is thermals, because if you can get, regardless of what the wind direction is, if you can get to a tree without burgering the place up, and you can get 20 foot up, and as that evening air starts to cool and that ground's still warm and that wind dies down and that thermal shoots straight up, I mean, you can get away with murder. And I've done it countless times. And still playing the scent control game, but wind and thermals are your best friend, regardless of whether you're up there in your underwear or you've got the highest dollar carbon activated clothing on your back and the highest dollar spray sprayed on you. That is key.
I agree, and there are some things that I do a little differently than you, but I mean, you're going to get that anywhere, so as far as like rubber boots, I wear rubber boots all the time. I don't put my clothes over the rubber boots, but I'm not wearing activated carbon clothes either, so I'm not wearing clothes that have that, like you said, like a scent lock that has activated carbon that's gonna kill that bacteria and that odor. So I'm trying to keep everything trapped in as well as I can, and the rubber, I feel like, doesn't hold a lot of scent. But like you said, your give a damn get a little busted is, farther in the season, once it's getting cold in the morning, I will wear my base layers from my house in my truck out to, the property, and then I'll put my outer layer, my 2 outer layers, whatever it is, on. I will do that. But if I'm going to go pump gas, I'm not going to wear anything that I'm going to take anywhere near the stand, pumping gas.
Sure.
One thing I have a problem with is gloves. You will not, it doesn't matter temperature or anything, it is hard for me to wear gloves. And if I am wearing gloves, they are fingerless. So my fingertips are showing, you know what I mean? And I use a muff because I'm running a camera a lot, so I need my fingertips. And even when I'm hunting, I cannot hunt with a glove on. It doesn't matter how much I practice in the, out in the backyard shooting a bow. For some reason, I just do not like gloves on my hands. Now there is times when it gets really, really cold and you gotta, it's either frostbite or play hero mode or whatever it is. You gotta wear some gloves, but you're talking about scent lock. Now they come out with a product, Oz. I don't know if you've been using the Oz stuff. Yep. I'm a believer in O2, and the Oz products, whether that Oz that, I've got the scent lock bag that emits the O2, so I put all my clothes in that scent lock bag, and then I plug that in every night, and overnight, it kills all the odor. I'm a firm believer in that. And the reason being is because I thought it was the gimmick at first. I'm like, this is gimmicky, this doesn't work. And then I started doing a lot of research on it. And then I started using it in the field, and using it firsthand, and having mature does and mature bucks downwind, and kind of, everybody's seen it, those deer that put their nose in the air and they're like, man, I feel like I can smell something, but I can't pinpoint it. I've had that so many times, and I can't vouch for the deer that are blowing downwind and that I can't hear. I can't vouch for that because I'm sure it's probably happening. I don't know though. But the deer that are within sight or within hearing, I mean, my, busting deer has dwindled a ton since I've been using that. And like you said, I'm not speaking as like the Aaron of, we're getting paid to do that. I'm not speaking as that. I'm speaking as like literally like Ozonics is the OG of O2, in my opinion. Ozonics, I believe in that O2. You know what I mean? I don't get paid by Ozonics. We don't get sponsored by Ozonics. But ScentLock makes an Oz product that it comes in with the bag. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing. I believe in that technology. I do, and that's just where I'm going to leave it.
Well, and I have to be, we both have to be careful about what we say. But I've used the O2 bags myself, and they are phenomenal. And I guess if I could take the opportunity to throw in a sponsor plug, Wildlife Research Center came out with a new product called No Zone, and it's not a spray your clothes down and remove your scent. It's a spray version of an O2, but it's not O2. And I'm a CrossFitter. I decided at 42 I needed to get in shape, so I've got a bag. And I test everything that we use. Regardless if it's bow, broadhead, whatever it may be. If I'm gonna go on your podcast, or I'm gonna go on TV and I'm gonna talk about something. I'm not going to be a paid spokesman. I'm going to believe in it. And so they came out with this product, and I got in my pickup one day, and I've got a gym bag, and it got my knee sleeves in it, my elbow sleeves. I'm getting old, and I'm out of shape, and everything hurts. And I got in my truck one day, and I said, "What in the hell is that smell?" And I opened up my gym bag, and I went, "Holy crap!" So I went and got this bottle of this No Zone and sprayed my truck down. Smelled my knee sleeves, about puke, sprayed them down, and I went out the next morning. I'd get up every morning at 3:30 to go to the gym. I went and got my truck, and I said, "Holy crap!" That worked. Because that's the problem with any industry anymore. You don't know whether it's a diet, whether it's weight loss, whether it's hunting, whatever it is. Is that a gimmick? Are they just trying to take my my 1999?
Yep.
And it works. And the ozone stuff, the O2 stuff. Hey, I believe in it too. I've used it. I currently use it. And it works. And people can say what they want, and until you try it, then it I guess you have to believe it yourself, or see it to believe it. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. I won't mention a name, because obviously, like I said, we're involved in the hunting industry and sponsored by companies. But back in the day, I had a buddy of mine that was actually owner in a scent. He founded a scent elimination company, and so I had it. This was prior to my TV time. But I had this stuff coming out of my ears. He was my neighbor and whatnot, and so I was going on a hunt, and I went to reach in the back of a pickup and get my tree strap. And when I did, and of course I'd taken my scent-free shower and whatever carbon clothing I was wearing. I mean, I was anal about it at the time, and I went to reach in the back of the truck and to grab this tree strap, and I knocked over a damn 2.5 gallon jug of gasoline, and the lid was loose, and the gasoline spilled on this tree strap. Well, my parade was ruined at that point in time. So I took this spray and sprayed it on my hands, wiped it down with a paper towel, and spilled my hands. The gasoline smell was gone. Boom. Firm believer. I knew then that, hey, this stuff works. And, seeing is believing. And if you don't believe in it, then fine. I understand that people say, well, I'd just soon go to Walmart and buy, whatever it may be, Realtree, Mossy Oak, Sitka, Joe Blow's camo, put on a pair of pants, or I'm just going to go buy an Elmer Fudd shirt, and I'm going to go climb the tree stand, and I'm going to shoot, and I'm going to kill a deer, and I don't need all this stuff. Fine. If that's what you believe in, then fine. But scent control is a definite advantage that a lot of people are probably missing out on.
And the thing is you brought up a good point about thermals, and that's something I'm getting a lot into right now, as well as thermals. And what I didn't realize in a lot of stuff I'm reading and researching is thermals on a plowed ag field. If you've got turned up dirt and you're hunting a edge of an ag field, when that sun rises in the morning, your thermals are going to change just from that, turned over dirt. And it can do some weird things, and some things that I'm learning too are, a lot of guys, and I'm a culprit of it as well, is finding an opening in the timber and putting a food plot in it. You
Sure.
know, and how wind works when it hits that opening. Because I'm like, oh, I got this great opening. I'm gonna hunt right on the edge of it, or right in the middle of the opening. Well, that's kind of wrong, because when that wind comes through there and hits that other side of the timber, it kind of creates a vortex in a way, and it goes like every which direction, and it can start swirling. And then above the trees, it can create a vacuum. You know what I mean? And suck it up and suck it out and suck it over. So the things that I'm learning is to sit off of that opening to be able to shoot into the opening and not right on it. So, I mean, thermals, that's a whole nother podcast we could go into about something I'm not a professional at all, but something I'm learning at and I really want to get into. So
I've learned a lot about that, and I won't go into deep detail. But prior to getting into television, I've got 60 hours towards my private pilot's license. Then when I got into television, or I say television, when I got bit by the bug to try to get into hunting TV, I ended up quitting flying. But I learned so much about thermals, and like you said, you can be flying along, in a Cessna 172, everything be smooth as could be. Then all of a sudden you fly over, a plowed up bean field, and you get the absolute hell beat out of you, because of what the thermals are doing. But I'll give a shameless plug, and we're not sponsored by them. We've had some affiliation with them before. But if you're a new hunter out there, an existing hunter, season is right around the corner, and you want to truly understand wind and thermals, there's a product out there called Cirrus, and it kind of works off of vapor, like your vape cigs and stuff like that. And I don't know, Aaron, I'm sure you've seen it, but
yeah.
they are. We did have a partnership with them. For a little bit. We as a television show aren't affiliated with Cirrus anymore, but you can bet your bottom dollar that I will not go afield without that product in my pocket this fall. I've got one, and they, because I'm probably more anal, to be honest with you, about wind direction than I am scent control. Now, I'm kind of contradicting myself, because I said that I've used scent control to take some gambles. I definitely do that, but I am probably more anal about wind direction than I am scent control. But at the same time, I will gamble a hell of a lot more based on thermals. And just like tonight would have been a perfect example. I mean, tonight felt like a September bow hunt.
Yep.
Your ground temperature is still extremely warm. Hot air rises, right? Air temperatures dropping down into the low 60s here tonight. If you were sitting in a tree right now, your thermals would be skyrocketing right now, with the heat coming off the ground. And there's no product, and God, I don't want to sound like a salesman, but that product will tell you on a night like tonight what you're doing right or wrong. If you puff that out and that vape heads to the ground, you might as well climb down the tree and go home, because you're screwed.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things out there, like a lot of guys use milkweed too, so they can see it, as it goes through the timber and everything. I've never used Cirrus, so I don't really know. But how passionate you are about it, I'm gonna guess it probably works.
I'm serious, and I'm talking to you as a hunter. Like I said, we have no affiliation with them anymore. They cut the TV budget, whatever it was. I don't know what it was. Jim Agnott, who's the owner and founder, is an absolute wonderful man. I consider him a good friend of mine. No hard feelings business. It is what it is. But you can bet that I'm still going to go to field with a Cirrus this fall, because they will. And it's so funny. You're talking about different cuts and openings in the timber. I mean, I've literally sat in the tree and you could do this with any wind indicator, but with the vapes lighter than air and or whatever you want to call it. But I've held it to my left, and the wind's going one direction, and I've held it to my right, and the wind's going the other direction. I've held it straight out in front of me, and the wind's going another direction. And and I'm sorry, we're getting off topic, but
No, I agree.
I'm probably more passionate and anal when it comes to wind direction than what I am when it comes scent control. I mean, and again, I'm contradicting myself because I've used scent control to my, like I said before, to my advantage to hunt some off winds. But with all that being said, all three of them play together: scent control, thermals, and wind. You can get 2 out of 3 and be damn successful. You can get 1 out of 3 and get lucky and make it work. But if you've got 0 out of 3, you're screwed. If the wind's wrong, you smell like you eat Marlboros and you got no thermals. Unless you're hunting with a 30-06 and shooting a couple 100 yards away, you're not going to have a very successful hunt.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. And that's the thing that I'm trying to learn more about is thermals. And I challenge anybody that's listening to this that doesn't know a lot about thermals to look into it more, because like you said, you do it, on the right side of you get a different reading than on the left side. But I've heard of guys, being 6 feet more higher in the tree than they are from 20 feet to 26 feet. It's a lot different. You know
Sure.
what I mean? 20 feet, they might be getting busted. 26 feet, 25 feet, they're not getting busted. You know what I mean? So like play with that a little bit. And that just goes back to what we were talking about, overthinking things and being a little more passive than aggressive and think of everything instead of just being a little more aggressive. Like take that in consideration as well, so it's a lot of things that go into it, and it's, you build up all off season to be able to enjoy hunting. And then when you get into it, it's like you feel like your mind is going a million different directions. But I think for me, being like a whitetail nut that I am, like that's what I enjoy about it. So I guess that's just kind of what I'm going to leave it with.
Well, I had a farm, and it actually borders my primary farm, but had access to it here a few years ago before this Mennonite community moved in, and it was like an 11-acre food plot, and I mean it was the most picture perfect. I'm going to kill a giant whitetail here every year, and I went in and we had standing corn, and I went in and put up a ground blind, and I did everything to the T. Scent control, wind direction. I had access from 3 different directions. I had access from 4 different directions based on the wind. I mean, I could access it from any direction I wanted to, based on the wind. For the most part. But one thing I never thought about was we called it the bowl. So when you go down into it, there's a hillside that runs pretty much almost 360 degrees around this, for the most part. It's basically you're in a bowl, and back then, we didn't have Sears. I had a powder, I think, just one of the puffers, and I had a hunting it one evening and had a doe come in. She come in, took one bite of corn and blew out. I thought that's weird. I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, another doe comes in, takes one bite of corn, blows out. Well, the wind, where I had my ground blind, the wind was blowing right in my face, and I could not figure it out. So I took my damn puffer and I stuck it out the window. I can't remember, left side, right side, whatever it was, and puffed it. And about 30 seconds later, the damn powder came around on the other side of the blind. Puffed it out the left window. 30 seconds later, it comes around the right window. Well, I was down in that bowl. My thermals were sunk, and then the way the wind was hitting the terrain around me, I was in a constant swirl, and there was no scent control, no nothing in the world that was going to save me on that hunt. I had the perfect location to kill what I thought would be the biggest deer on the farm, and in that perfect location, I wasn't going to kill a thing unless I was hunting with a high-powered rifle.
Yep.
Because once they got within bow range, that wind swirled in that hole so much that it was impossible, just impossible.
Yeah, I deal with that even here in Michigan. My dad and I got a spot by a creek that's a little opening in between a cedar swamp, and it's a perfect edge, cedar swamp to, hardwoods. But there's a creek that runs through it, and when the thermals hit that just right, the creek creates this vortex, and it just swirls in there. But if you can hit it on the right time, my dad's killed 3 bucks that are, Pope and Young in Michigan with his bow, 2 with his bow, 1 with his gun, I believe, that, within bow range in that spot. Same tree ever since I've been a freshman in high school. We've had it there. But if you can hit it right, it's perfect. But if you don't hit it right, it blows everything out of the timber.
Yep, and that was the situation here. This was extreme late season, like December, January. So, thermals still come into play at that point in time, to an extent, but usually it's a negative effect, and I remember this particular day, we had 6 inches of snow on the ground. So your thermals aren't doing much for you then. I'm basing thermals on pretty layman's terms, hot air rises. So, when your ground's still warm and your nights are cool, obviously, temperature's going up. It becomes a lot more complicated as your ground temperature cools off and becomes more relative to the air temperature. You still get active thermals, especially in the morning, when the sun's coming up and then of an evening. There's a reason why fog lays low, because your moisture and temperature up getting way too complicated. But on this particular hunt, it was cold, ground was cold, covered with snow. There was no rising thermal to this situation. Therefore, the wind just swirled, everything stayed at ground level, and you were SOL.
So thermals, are a huge thing, and we've talked about them a little bit. But I guess, like I said just a little bit ago, I'm gonna leave it with, if you don't know thermals, start to learn it a little more, because that's what I'm doing. And it sounds like you've been learning, a lot about it with your, trying to get your pilot's license and everything. But I'm going to do a quick transition here, and, we're coming up on 2.5 hours of talking here, and might have to make this a 2-parter, but we'll figure it out. But anyway, so this is something I've been doing the last 2 weeks here is, if you have 7 days to hunt the whole fall, all you got 7 days, okay? And don't talk to me as Chuck as the farmer and gets to hunt his backyard. Talk to me as the Chuck that has a 9-to-5, kids, wife, that kind of thing, has 7 days to hunt in the fall. How are you dividing those up, and when are you dividing those up, or when are you taking those 7 days to hunt?
Oh wow! Well, you'll have to do the math for me probably. So if I'm getting to do that at home, here in my backyard, I'm gonna hunt the first 3 days of season. So there's 3 of them.
September 15th, 16th, 17th.
Yep, I'm gonna hunt them because
are you hunting mornings or just evenings?
Just evenings.
Okay.
Yep, just alfalfa, clover, soybean edges. Not hunting timber at all. And then I'm going to transition into probably somewhere around November 4th through the 7th for 3 days, and then that's
your 7 days.
No, that was 6.
Oh, 6 days. Sorry, but in November you're going to be hunting either all day, morning, and night.
Yep.
You're going to be sitting hardcore,
Yep.
8-9 hours a day.
Yep. And then if I've got a traditional, I try to do this every year. I try to plant 3 or 4 acres of standing corn and mow it down, which is legal here in Missouri. Food plot manipulation, as they call it. I got 1 day left. I'm probably going to mow that down, and I'm going to hit somewhere around Christmas Eve. Cut corn on Christmas Eve.
In a ground blind.
Yep, in a ground blind towards the end of season. So one day in mid to late December, depending on the weather. Got an extreme cold front coming, and snow. I'm going to knock that corn down, and then I'm going to hunt it one day there in late December.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little plot twist on you here. On September 16th, second day of season, your second sit, it's a night hunt. You have a 4-year-old, 155-inch deer come out. What are you doing? Self-filming.
What other deer do I have on the farm?
This is something that we do at work, too. It's scenario time. So, what other deer do you have on the farm? Well, I want to say that you've got a net boon on the farm, but I know what the answer will be. So, you don't have a net boon on the farm. Your biggest deer on the farm is a 163 5-year-old, and you've only got 2 years of history with him.
Well, since in Missouri you can shoot 2, I'm probably shooting.
You're gonna kill him on the second night of season.
Yeah, it's the second night of season, so we run September 15th, essentially through January 15th. Is that right? Yeah, yep, September 15th, January 15th. We got 2 weeks of gun season in there, which I hunt during the gun season, but I hunt with a bow. I just have to change the tag in my pocket. So yeah, I'm probably shooting.
So big plot twist here. Okay. You've had 7 days to hunt in the fall. Okay, you come to that last day, which you said would be around, what'd you say, Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve?
Yeah, Christmas Eve, towards the end of December.
Okay, you haven't killed a buck yet in Missouri all year. Okay? You come in, you've got a 3-year-old that is a net boon.
Pass.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
First of all, you're not going to get a net boon. Let's be realistic, even though it's a plot twist. You're not going to get a net boon 3-year-old. Net boon 3-year-old, damn be the age, I'm shooting, all right? If it's a net boon, I'm shooting.
Okay, good. That's what I hope you say.
Okay. Now be realistic on your plot twist. A 3-year-old, 160, December 24th, I'm passing.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
That's what I respect about you. You've got that uncanny ability to just pass up deer that are just giant.
Yeah, I'm passing. 163-year-old, I'm passing because with the right food and the right mineral and not barring EHD and getting hit by a car, there's your net boon 200-incher all in
right.
Under one bow the next year. So.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, if you get in that late season, around Christmas, New Year's Eve, your season's almost over. A lot of guys aren't really hunting at that time. So
it's really hard for me, and not to get way off topic, but it's really hard for me, post gun season here in Missouri, which I know is nothing like Michigan. It's nothing like Virginia. But Missouri is one of what I believe to be, now maybe I'm wrong in this, but Missouri is one of the few states that still offers high-powered rifles that also falls in the middle of the rut. So it is really hard for me post-Orange Army, as I like to call it, to shoot anything outside of a target deer post-gun season here. Because if they've made it that long, it's EHD, old age, or a car for the most part that's going to take them out. And like I said, it's very, very hard for me to do that post gun season unless it's a target deer.
Yep, I totally understand. So next question. And we kind of touched on this earlier in the podcast, but if you had one call in the rut to use, or even all season, doesn't matter. One call to use. That's all you could take with you, whether it be rattling antlers or bleat call or, grunt call. What are you taking?
Snort. I don't take a call. I snort wheeze with my mouth.
Why do you got to make it this simple?
Well, I mean that's just it. I mean that's what I'm taking. Is just taking my mouth and just and snort wheezing them. I have more fun. I've rattled in a ton of bucks. One particular hunt that Steve and I were on several years ago. It was two. I took. You know how it is. You flip flop morning and evenings. One guy gets the morning, one guy gets the afternoon. I selected the mornings because where we were hunting deep timber, and in 2 mornings we rattled in 19 different bucks. And I love to rattle. Don't get me wrong. Of course, every buck that we rattled in was 3 years old and younger. But if you get a mature buck within audio and visual range, and you can snort wheeze at him, it can be lethal. So that's all I need. And that would lighten my pack up of all the crap that I carry too. So that's what I'm going with.
All right. I can take that, I guess. So last question. So if you could hunt one whitetail state for the rest of your life, and it cannot be Missouri because you live there, and it cannot be Iowa because that's the default answer, what would it be?
Shit. Man. I'm probably going with Kansas. For the simple fact, and this sounds pretty crappy, but you can still bait in Kansas, and I'm getting older. I'm still very young. I'm 42, but I am getting older. So hey, if it's easier, it's better. So I'm probably gonna say Kansas. It would be a toss up between Kansas and Illinois.
I thought you were gonna go Illinois. To be honest with you, I thought I knew you better.
and where I live, I can be in Kansas quicker. But see, I'm 2.5 hours from the famed Pike County in Illinois. But you know what, too, you gotta weigh this situation just a little bit. If I've got prime ground, I farm for a living, so that's how I pay my bills. So I could also say Kentucky, because
Early
I could go
season.
to Kentucky. I could go to Kentucky and kill a giant velvet deer every single year, and I don't want to make it sound
Wyoming.
like.
You're closer to Wyoming too.
Oh no, Wyoming still. That's a fair piece away. I mean, I could be at I can be in Louisville in about 8.5 hours. So, Kentucky would be hunting and what income I get off of hunting is minimal compared to how I make my bread and butter. So if I want to still hunt and maximize, my income on my farm, then I could add more acres on my farm, go to Kentucky, kill a big velvet whitetail every year, and that's tough. Kansas is, Miami County, Kansas, and some of those eastern counties, and it's kind of like Iowa. Where I live,
Yep.
I'm a county and a half south of Iowa, and I'm not that far from eastern Kansas where they grow some huge whitetails. So I'm close to both areas, so that's tough. I would probably go with Kansas. So
I got you. I thought for sure you'd go Illinois, because Western Illinois, you're pretty close to that. Pike, Brown, Adams, that's a golden triangle. Even back in the
Sure.
day, and it's kind of fallen off as of late, but it's coming back like hard. But Western Illinois is pretty damn hard to beat. You know what I mean? And
can I tell you a quick story?
yeah,
I leased a piece of ground right after we did Dream Season Working Man for the Drury's back in, I think it was 2009, and I leased a piece of ground in Hancock County, I think is how you say it, Illinois, which is just north of
Been
Quincy,
there.
which is just as north of Adams.
Yep.
And so I take this local kid with me that's filmed. He's filmed a lot of stuff in his lifetime, but he's quite a bit younger than I am. It's basically, I think I leased it off a hunting lease network, I think, and aerial photos was it, and so we go over and we get a room in this little roach motel in this little town, and got one place to eat in town, and we go out and we hang a double and go in the next morning, and I said we're sitting all day, and I shoot a possum like at noon, and then we've got this like stud 8-pointer, he's probably a 140-inch deer that comes in what second deer we've seen all damn day, and I passed him, and I thought this kid I thought he was gonna push me out of the damn tree stand. And we hung in this little forked tree, and where I was at, where my stand was at, I could get back kind of between the two forks, and it was leaned back just a little bit. So like at noon, I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm taking a nap," and I always carry every time I go to the stand, I always carry an extra strap with me, and I do it for this reason. I took the strap, wrapped it around the tree, put it around my chest, cinched it down as tight as I could get it. That way, if I had one of them dreams that I was falling, I was stuck in the tree. And I told him, I said, "Hey, dude," I said, "I'm going to take a nap." I said, "If you want to, kick back, whatever." And his poor stand was not near as comfortable as mine. So I slept for like 2 hours. Wake up, and this deer comes in, and this kid gets remarkable footage of this deer. And I said, "No, I believe I'm going to pass him." And I thought he was going to reach over and boot me out of the damn tree. But
I think I would have.
yeah, and I should have. But it was kind of like a damn elk hunt, though. Where we were at, we were landlocked, and we were going to basically have to quarter the damn thing out to get it out of there, or drag it, a mile. And so I don't know if that was in the back of my head or what. But Illinois is a great state. It would definitely be a toss-up between Illinois and Kansas, but I don't like driving that much. That's why I was trying to get my pilot's license, so I didn't have to drive everywhere. So Kansas is a lot closer.
Yep, for sure. And honestly, in all the states that I've either hunted or filmed in, I mean, and I might change my mind after this fall because I'm going to be hunting Iowa for the first time, but Kansas, I've hunted there. Well, I've never hunted there, but I've filmed there. Kansas is hard to beat, man. But in my experiences, Illinois, I've filmed 183-inch 8-pointer die. I've filmed 175-inch, 11-pointer die, and like 140-inch deer, 153-inch deer. And it's like Illinois is hard to beat, but Illinois is totally different right now than it was 7 years ago. Like
sure.
It's changed that quick.
Well, that would be 3 podcasts from now. We could get in, and I don't know a lot about the regulations in Illinois, but I know some of the regulations. I know some friends there in the outdoor industry that have not been overly pleased with some of the regulations in the state of Illinois. But you go back to Kansas, and time is money for me. So you can people can say what they want to say about it. If baiting is legal, I'm going to bait. If baiting is illegal, I'm not going to bait. If I can go to Kansas and I can go in there with a 500 bushel loaded corn and dump it on the ground and sit over it. Hey, state says it's legal. I'm going to do it. I can probably get in and get out a lot quicker in the state of Illinois with a very respectable, or excuse me, Kansas. I can get in and out in Kansas with a pretty respectable deer a heck of a lot quicker than I can in the state of Illinois.
Yep. Yeah, and like you said, time is money for you. You're a farmer, so that's something that you have to take in consideration with somebody that might be like, can only be there for, maybe they can be there longer, 2 or 3 weeks, who knows, or maybe it's a resident, I don't know. So, but that's what's cool about those questions is I like to ask those questions and get everybody's opinion about them. So, I don't know. I thought it
You
was a
know
cool
what though?
question.
If I did have the opportunity, because I am a fair chase type of hunter, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, well, Kansas, it's legal to bait, and I'd never do it because that's the type of hunter I am. I would like to have a nice lease in Kansas and go in and try to, it's one of my favorite things to do, getting a new farm and setting it up, and figuring it out, and planting the food plots and hanging the tree stands and placing the cameras and analyzing it and playing the game of chess with the deer. It's one thing I love to do. And you take a little bit of the. Don't get me wrong. Just because there's water there doesn't mean there's a fish in the pond. Just because you dump out a bucket of corn doesn't mean that the biggest deer in the farm is going to walk in. But it would be cool to go to Kansas, have a farm, try to figure it out without and kill the biggest deer in the farm without the aid of bait. I think that would be fun. But like a split situation where you can't find him, can't kill him, but he sure likes Big and J. I'm probably dumping out a few bags of Big and J about halfway through season. So.
Yep, for sure. If you can in that state, for sure.
If you can, and I'm referring to Kansas. Yes, yeah.
Yep. Well, cool, man. I know we're getting up on time here, and it's well, actually, we're overtime. It's been like 3 hours. But when you're having good conversation with good buddies, I don't want to cut it off, So we might have to make this into a 2-parter or a 3-parter, but I appreciate you coming on and doing this, buddy.
Well, I think the world of you, and anytime we're visiting, whether there's something recording or something not recording, we seem to go a long time, and that's what I love about what we do is you got people that you can relate to, and you don't have to look for a topic of conversation. So
for sure,
I thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm glad that you were desperate enough to have me back on, and I'll do it anytime, brother.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your kind words too. And for everybody that has stayed on and listened this long, Chuck is actually the VO guy of the podcast. So everybody that is probably like, I've heard this guy before, he is the guy that you hear first in every podcast, other than the vocal singing. It is Chuck Weldon. So that's Brandon Calhoun.
Yeah, but, you're not going to get me singing. So.
No, I appreciate it, man. And again, I'm going to have you on here soon again and talk probably at length again. But the thing is like you said, with our industry and with hunting in general, and I know you probably get it in a lot of different industries, if you want to call it that, but you and I met, oh God, what was it, back 2013 or 14, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it's been what? I don't know.
No, it's probably 11 or 12.
Okay, so 7-8 years or something. I mean, been great buddies ever since then, and I value your opinion and just your conversation and the camaraderie that you and I can have, whether it's text or call or a podcast, doesn't matter, man. And drinking a few beers, it doesn't matter. I enjoy that, and I just can't thank you enough for coming on and doing this again, and it won't be the last time for sure.
Well, I feel the same way, and I haven't caught every single one of them, but I hit the subscribe button, and
I appreciate that.
And I listen to all of them that I can, and it's neat that you got guys from all walks of life and all states, and it's cool. It's really cool to hear you talk about this deer's a 125-inch deer, and that's and you get excited about it, and that's one thing that us guys, and not talking TV, we're talking hunters, the guys on the whitetail fix, that we feel like makes us relatable to other hunters, and it doesn't have to be on TV. It can be on a podcast. It can be talking to the guy at the gas station is, we're not going out and, yes, I got to hunt a 200-inch deer this year, but we're hunting deer that anybody can hunt. If you've got 5 acres, you got 5,000. We're just hunters, and that's what we love to do, what we love to talk about. It's what our passion is, and it's great to talk to another hunter that feels the same way and has the same passion and whatnot. So I enjoy this as much as you do, buddy.
Man, I'll tell you, Chuck Weldon is a wealth of information, and this 3-part series, I didn't really have a plan for it to be 3 parts, but Chuck and I just got into BSing a lot too. So if you guys can wade through a lot of the bullshit, which there is a lot, there is some good talking points, and there is probably something that somebody can take out of this. So I appreciate you guys listening to this and supporting the podcast. If you guys could please, like I said, go onto iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. It'd be really helpful. Leave some feedback. Even on the Facebook page, go leave a recommendation. Thank you to all those people that have been doing that and following and supporting. I really appreciate that. And season's fastly approaching. I'm in Kansas right now. Casey and I are hunting, so got some updates coming here soon with that. So hopefully you guys enjoy all this content, and good luck this fall.